I am necessarily somebody who can't believe it 100% unless I see it and hear it. And in order to make this video make any sense, I gotta pull you back a few years when it was a conversation amongst black people that they can't necessarily enjoy going outside and going to see a movie without the fear of being gunned down by the evil mystical white guy that's always hunting them down when they go outside. And the only way that those upstanding black people could potentially live their life and enjoy things is if they had some sort of safeguard, protection, in order to make sure that they live their life as carefree and fun as possible. And what was the safeguard, you wonder? White people standing guard and essentially dying for them.
This message is to all our would-be accomplices and white allies. This message is to all the white people who have BLM in their bio. If you really want to prove to black people that you love us and you care about us and you are down for the cause, do not go see that movie opening weekend. You buy your ticket, you give it to a black person or a black family who can't afford to go. And then you go sit at that theater in front of the doors. You make sure that every black person in that theater can enjoy that movie in peace. You make sure that you use your body to block us from anybody who would be coming in that theater to do us harm. That is your job. You can go see it on another weekend. Go see it on the second or third weekend. But the first weekend, that's for us. To do anything other than this is anti-black.
That was stupid then, and it's stupid now. But you might be wondering, how do we tie this to a white woman who was shot by a white man? Well, I can't necessarily tell you in full detail, so I'm going to let Joy Reid do it, and I want you to understand the irony in what it is you're about to hear. As you know, a white woman is dead at the hands of a white man.
ICE agents that have been surged into Minnesota because, of course, Trump is whipping up this fear of Somalis, running rampant over their welfare system. They're like, we're going to deport as many as we can get our hands on, as well as obviously as many brown people as they can get their hands on. This woman was part of a group of people who they train to try to be ICE interrupters. Mm-hmm. And what they try to do is observe what ICE is doing, film them, and try to use their white privilege, to be honest. They're mainly white people.
Which is what we ask.
Which is what we ask them to do, right? Because black people, like, we can't put our bodies on the line because cops will shoot us. And so the presumption had been, particularly a white woman, because remember, part of the rationale for doing this with ICE is to save white women, pristine white women, from being ravaged by, criminal brown men. So white women, have been taking the lead in being the ones to step forward and challenge ICE and to say, as white people, we can step to ICE and step to police in a different way. In this case, this white woman and her wife, who's also a white woman, were driving in an SUV. They parked to try to block ICE from snatching people out of a suburban neighborhood. This was not like on the mean streets in Minneapolis. This was in a suburb.
Yeah,
with,
the neighbor houses. Was a doctor.
The neighbor's a doctor. This is a quiet white suburb. So they're driving and they park. The ICE agents come up to the car. They get out of the car and to shorten it, they bang on her door and tell her, get out of the car. They order her to get out of the car. She panics and starts to back up to get away. And one of the ICE officers, Jonathan Ross, shot 3 times into the car, shot her in the face and killed her. The reason I think this is significant and is different from the previous shootings is, to me, this is a George Floyd moment.
Mm-hmm. And not far from
where that happened, right? 6 years later. And the reason I think it's a George Floyd moment is that George Floyd answered the question, are black people making it up when we say cops can just kill us and will, right? We saw a police officer with people filming him was willing to kill George Floyd in front of a crowd on camera. In this case, I think it's a George Floyd moment because this is one of those moments when somebody who's supposed to be safe with law enforcement, a white woman, a Christian, a mom, she had just dropped her kid off, her 6-year-old off at school, who's doing all the right things. She is a citizen. This is not a question of her being an undocumented immigrant.
It didn't feel like ICE agents were in danger of their lives in any way. They could easily have moved out of the way.
Easily, right. And did move out of the way. And walked away, no injuries. The chief of police in Minneapolis said no one was injured except the woman who was dead. None of those men were injured. And it was that moment where you realize nobody's safe.
You want me to understand that black people had no real ideas on how to combat all of the oppressive regime changes that were going on, because every time every black person stepped outside, the cops just saw that brown and said, let's lock him up or shoot him. So we spend dedicated time crafting the knowledge and skill set so that the mystical white woman could, I guess, potentially, maybe, who knows, use her whiteness to look at all these evil, white, oppressive white men and say, and that would be the significant change under the sun to change everything for the better. And lo and behold, it didn't fucking work, because the woman who used all your tactics is dead. Sounds like you need to go back to the drawing board. And maybe I'm the cynical one here, but this drastically spits in the face of this woman. Because don't you think the growing consensus amongst the people who agree with Joy Reid all understand that this woman is dead? So when you sit there in your chair alive talking about how this woman was taught to do these things, you realize that actively spits in her face. And then you amplify it by saying black people can't do it because we end up dead while she's in the fucking ground. Do you not understand the tone deafness of that? You claim to be somebody wanting to create change. You claim to want to be in a society where everybody's treated equal. You claim to be a part of the solution, yet your teachings, or what you would claim to be what this woman sought out to learn in terms of wanting to make the world a better place, was just her being bitched at about her whiteness and how privileged she is and how she should use that to combat the evil white man. And that white man, I guess, looked at her and said, no, you spent too much time around black people. Die.
Public service announcement. Excuse me. If y'all didn't know, this is the MSC, and frankly, there's just too many white people in here, and this is a space for people of color. So just be really cognizant of the space that you're taking up, because it does make some of us POCs uncomfortable when we see too many white people in here. It's only been open for 4 days, and frankly, there's the whole university for a lot of y'all to be at, and there's very few spaces for us. So keep that in mind. Thank you.
This makes no sense. This is unproductive into creating any type of fucking change. You're signing motherfuckers up, I guess, to die. Because if they do something dumb enough to get a reaction that's going to warrant them in handcuffs, and they resist, and they start doing some shit that might make a cop say, fuck it, I got a gun, congratulations, your ideas lack the actual success rate that could create any type of change.
It's demon time for a lot of these Democrats. And Joy Reid just said the quiet part out loud. She literally just said out of her own mouth that women like that lady, Renee Good, who put her life in harm's way by impeding a federal operation, that those women have been trained. They've been orchestrated. They've even been shamed into using their bodies as human shields. That's what she just said. She said that black people can't afford to use their bodies anymore. So now it's up to the liberal white woman who's taking charge and leading the way in using their physical bodies as shields to protect their immigrant neighbors, to protect their community. And you got people like that lady Renee Good crashing out at the helm of these politicians and these nuts like Joy Reid. And it's a demonic possession. It's a demonic possession that will have somebody be devoid of any self-preservation, any logic and rationale to put their lives in harm's way. And unfortunately, this is not going to be the last, because this Trump derangement syndrome has gotten out of control.
When I first heard about what Joy Reid said, I couldn't believe it, because it came across so tasteless. It came across like somebody was misrepresenting what she was saying. But listening to it and hearing it, why would somebody teach you to be an ICE agitator in the means of using your white privilege to somehow change the world for the better? What are you teaching these motherfuckers? What about that white guilt and privilege is going to change anything that is going on that you disagree with politically? Next to nothing. And like she mentioned, once they started killing the whites, I guess it's game over. It was game over once the guy who's currently in office got voted in, because you spent so much time trying to guilt trip motherfuckers into voting for what you wanted. You missed the point of actually promoting the things that you would want to these people so that they could see it as compared to the political opposition and say, I don't like that, I'm going to vote for what you just said. But instead of doing that because it's boring, you got to guilt trip these motherfuckers off their skin color in the hopes that they somehow unlock the chakra and just peel their skin and throw it at the problem and the problem magically goes away. No, this isn't fucking Dungeons and Dragons. This is real life. And I'm guessing because she was part of this group, and this is Joy Reid saying this shit, she was part of this group that trained them on how their white privilege has been used for evil and how they could use it for good. I guess now you could blame these motherfuckers for why she's dead, because she took the teachings, used it, and wound up dead. Everybody in the wrong spot at the wrong time, as I stated in the last video talking about this, but because of these teachings, this woman is dead. So my advice, go to that drawing board, erase all that bullshit, and find a way to actually be productive that will lead to change, not a bunch of motherfuckers performing for the camera. Because when I gotta see people posting about a state trooper running over a protester, and then I see the video and I see a motherfucker not run over at all, I know that people are just performing for the sake of saying, hey, I was out here, but they're not about actually creating change that would be significant to the shit they talk about while they're smoking weed.
All we're learning from this is that you should hit the gas. If you should run them over. You should run them over with your car, and you should do it quickly before they can fucking shoot you. I have to go to my mechanic. I have to get my car fixed so that I can drive faster, just in case. This is fucking insane. You should hit them. You should hit them. They will say you hit them anyway. You should hit them with your car.
And that is embarrassing and a little distasteful. And if you're somebody who would want to honor Renee Good, this shit don't fucking work. It's just made to make you look fucking dumb. Your skin color is not really going to save you in the grand scheme while everything's burning around you. So I suggest find a fire extinguisher and start putting out the fires that way, because the other way leaves you burned, or in this instance, dead. Subscribe to the channel. I will see you all in the next one. Mwah! Goodbye.